Well, first, then we have to break down some of the myths and the lies, the outright lies in this whole immigration debate that we're seeing. Title 42 had to end. It was always illegal because it was the bogus use of a health measure as an anti-immigration measure. It should never have been allowed to go into practice in the first place. So Biden comes into office, he lifts it, it goes into the courts, and now finally, since the pandemic's been declared over in the entire world, it's inevitable that it be lifted, and it's lifted at 11:59. The statistic that 80% of Title 42 people went back, under the Trump administration, or is very difficult. I mean, of illegal immigrants were sent back under that. It's very difficult to sustain, because the whole idea of undocumented immigrants going into the United States and staying there has to do with the fact that they're undetected at the time. The things that change under this is that, as we mentioned, Title 8 goes into effect, and there's a processing procedure for the immigrants to go, and they're at least restored on paper their right to request asylum, which is a universal right. Anyone who's fleeing danger has the right to seek safety for themselves and their family. It's fundamental to our understanding of human rights and of immigration as well. So now that goes into effect, but there are so many restrictions in this that it's very difficult to know whether the situation will be better or not for people who are fleeing danger, which are thousands and thousands of people because of the situations in their home countries. Then, when to the question of what they're coming back to in Mexico, and it's not like the border opens at 11:59 and those 65,000 people that Frank talked about, go rushing across. That's another one of the myths that sometimes are propagated in the press. There's still these procedures. There's a new app that they have to use called CV1. They're putting into effect regional processing centers, which mean they're going to start in Guatemala and Colombia, that they have to process their initial claims there and then go to request audience in the United States. So there's a number of boundaries are put up. And meanwhile, the burden of these people who are fleeing is being reverted back to Mexico, which we saw that with the Remain in Mexico program. There's not support for dealing with the numbers that we're seeing coming up. And it's also reverted to other countries that are even in a less with fewer possibilities of being able to attend to the humanitarian needs of these people. So we're creating another bottleneck in the name of border security that's not related to real security. We're talking about families. We're talking about people who are fleeing danger. There's no national security threat to migration flows to the United States. What there is a complete and total administrative breakdown that has to be dealt with by providing sufficient funds for the fair and legally mandated processing of asylum claims.